Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, I'm Queen Bee Tarot, and I've got some exciting horoscopes for everybody. Detailed horoscopes for all 12 signs. A general overview talking about the huge planetary party shift out of Earth sign Taurus into air sign Gemini, and I've even picked out a song for each zodiac sign, kind of like a theme song for the week. Are you ready? Let's get started. I'm going to do a general overview to begin. Timestamps will be below. I divide the reading into chapters so that you can skip ahead and explore different topics if you wish. And timestamps for each individual zodiac sign will be included as well. So, huge planetary shift including Jupiter. Jupiter takes about 12 or 13 years to do one full turn around the zodiac. And so when Jupiter moves out of a zodiac sign, it's approximately once every year. It's a pretty big deal because Jupiter represents luck, abundance, faith and hope, and new beginnings. And Jupiter has spent a really long time, well, almost a year, quite a few months, in the sign of Taurus, bringing our attention to physical and material needs. Taurus energy, Taurus season, brings a focus on the third dimensional reality that we're experiencing and highlights the importance of basic needs being met. And anytime we have planets in Taurus, sometimes what we personally experience is an existential hunger or thirst. And what I mean by that, existential means kind of like theme of your life. And when I say existential hunger or thirst, what I mean by that is desire that brings us towards a destination. It has been said that when jealousy is brought up inside of ourselves, it's actually a clue. It's a clue to something that we really want, something that we really need, and the emotions that we experience around it shows us how important that need or that desire is. So when Jupiter has been moving through Taurus, there's been a huge focus on finances, both personal and global. There's been a huge focus on cost of living, access to resources, food, water, shelter, safety, personal and global. So it's been really, really interesting. And kind of finishing off that Jupiter and Taurus theme, perfect timing, all the major planets have been moving, well, not all the major planets, the inner planets have been moving through Taurus. If you haven't caught my explanation of the inner and outer planets, I'll tell you really quick. The inner planets start from the sun, and then it goes Mercury, Venus, then there's Earth and Mars, and then there's an asteroid belt in our solar system. So those are the inner planets. Then outside of the asteroid belt, we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So those are the outer planets. And as I was saying about Jupiter, you know, the outer planets, they move really, really slow. But when we have been experiencing Taurus season right now, when we say Taurus season, that's because the sun has been moving through Taurus. And when we come back to that inner planet explanation, the sun, when it moves, Mercury and Venus are so close that they move along with the sun most of the time within one sign. So the sun moved into Taurus a couple of weeks ago. I'm getting ahead of myself. The sun's been in Taurus for almost 4 weeks. This week, the sun moves into Gemini. Now, Mercury just moved into Taurus, but it's not going to be there for very long. It's going to move into Gemini pretty soon. And this week, Venus and Jupiter also move into Gemini. So, you know, for the past month, we've had this planetary party in Taurus, really bringing our attention to both personal and global themes of whether or not we have our needs being met. And this week, in the beginning of the week, on Monday, the sun moves into Gemini, starting Gemini season. Venus moves into Gemini on Thursday, and Jupiter moves into Gemini on Saturday. The difference between Taurus and Gemini, like I was saying, Taurus is a huge focus on our third dimensional reality. It is an earth sign. It's pretty slow moving. It's one step at a time. It's carefully planning. It is kind of taking stock of our resources and setting a solid foundation for growth. Then when the sun and all the other planets move into Gemini, that is associated with the third house in astrology. What that means is whatever solid foundation we have, this is going to be the place where growth occurs. Gemini is an air sign represented by the twins, and there's a highlight on conversation. The reason it's represented by the twins is because Gemini brings a focus on duality. Yes versus no, me versus you. And it is within conversation, represented by Gemini, that we often are able to discuss any of these issues, perspectives, thoughts, ideas, things like that. And Gemini energy brings a quickening. So where Taurus was really, really slow and steady, Gemini is like, okay, we're good, let's go. But the downside of Gemini energy is not necessarily being very attentive to details. Taurus is a very like details matter kind of sign, whereas Gemini is like, whatever about the details, I'm looking at the bigger picture. Now, you may be able to identify either as a details person or as a bigger picture person. So if you're a details person, you probably would have been really comfortable during Taurus season. And if you're really more about the bigger picture, you're going to thrive during Gemini season. And so when Jupiter moves into Gemini, that really kind of locks in that Gemini energy. The sun moving into Gemini is me, you. How do I personally feel about everything that's going on in the world, everything that's going on in my personal life, etc. But when Jupiter, one of the outer planets, moves into Gemini, that is a global focus. That's more of a bigger picture focus. And Jupiter, which represents expansion, thinking outside the box, trying something new, connecting with new people, new opportunities, new ideas, new. That means that globally we can also expect a shift. It could be a shift from actively planning to meet people's needs to, well, let's just talk about needs. Let's form a committee and discuss how to meet people's needs. So a lot of things will happen over the next month in a very theoretical kind of way rather than a practical application way. So again, if you're a details person, you might feel extremely frustrated during Gemini season because details matter and conversations don't necessarily fix things, right? But there is a time and a place for everything. And it's really important to have conversations. It's really important to step outside of our own perspective. And so as we move into Gemini season, I want to kind of bring one really important point to light, and that is the theme of an echo chamber. I don't know if you've ever heard that theme before. If you surround yourself by people who agree with you all the time, you are in what is considered to be an echo chamber. Because whatever you think, whatever you say is just being echoed back to you. You might as well talk to yourself, right? So in this time of Gemini season, represented by the twins, highlighting the importance of different perspectives, be mindful about creating as many opportunities as possible to get a different perspective, a different input, a different idea. Because if you are surrounded by people who just echo back to you what you already know and what you already think, you're not going to be able to take advantage of these opportunities the way that you would if you expand your thoughts. The trouble we have as humans is that when people don't agree with us, or people suggest something or see something that we don't necessarily understand, our immediate reaction, it's human nature, our immediate reaction is to reject it. Nope, right? So these things are definitely going to come up over the next month. Are you open to different perspectives? Are you surrounded by people who echo back to you what you already know? And it's going to offer, the next few weeks are going to offer us lots of opportunities to create a new life, see things a different way, take new opportunities, or maybe even just expand our social connections. Gemini rules the third house of communication. It rules our inner circle of friends, including siblings. And it also rules small businesses. your social network, your business network, how you connect with the people in your immediate vicinity. And Gemini also rules small trips, small adventures, staycations, things like that, because it's all about, let's see some new scenery, right? Let's shake things up a little bit. So as much as you can, definitely shake things up a bit. And then the peak of energy this week is a full moon in Sagittarius on Thursday. Sagittarius is the opposite sign to Gemini, so that means that the sun is in Gemini and the moon is in Sagittarius, creating an opposition. And that really highlights the connection between whatever happens in my little world as opposed to the greater world as a whole. It also might even bring up themes for you along the spiritual nature of as above, so below. Whatever happens on a small level seems to be echoed on a greater level as well. And when we resolve whatever's happening inside of us, we see a ripple effect where all of a sudden our outer environment starts to reflect that change. In the last few months, if you've been going through a great deal of inner change, this is going to be an opportunity to start seeing that outer change reflect the inner transformation that you have undergone. So have patience. Please make sure that your headspace is a safe space. Please make sure that you are open to new information, new ideas, and new opportunities. And may the odds ever be in your favor. I'm going to get into our individual horoscopes, and I'm just making sure that I'm going to have my pen. I'm going to mark down each sign. Again, my sincere apologies to Scorpios last week. I have ADD. I try my best to keep track of where I'm at, and sometimes I get ahead of myself. So that's what happened last week. I am going to be doing individual horoscopes for all 12 signs. These are for sun signs and rising signs. And let's get in. So Aries sun and Aries rising, welcome to your horoscope. Now, the theme song I have for you guys this week, I have chosen a theme song for each zodiac sign, just something I felt like doing. Your theme song this week is Ahead by a Century by the Tragically Hip. And the reason I chose that is because there's a conjunction. Sun forms a really helpful angle to Neptune, which is the planet of walking our highest path or living our ideals. And when the sun, which represents our self, is supported in such a beautiful way by Neptune, the planet of ideals, it's going to give you personally a boost of hope, a boost of idealism, and a softening as far as how hard you usually are on yourself. It's going to help you be easier on yourself. It's also going to help you be more patient, more compassionate, and more understanding to the people around you as well. So a nice, really softening influence this week. And what I was saying about the song Ahead by a Century, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter in the beginning of the week are still going to be in Taurus, forming a helpful sextile to Neptune in Pisces, which is in your 12th house. So this is where I see the whole ahead by a century. Often you guys are innovators, and it's very hard to be patient while the rest of the world catches up. And your sign in particular, whether you're an Aries sun or Aries rising, there's been a sense of stagnation over the last little bit. And so it's really nice to see that all of a sudden this week, hopefully you will start to see some results coming through as far as your dreams, your ideals, and the energy that you put out there into the universe. And what happens midweek is that the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter, they all move into Gemini. And when they do, it's going to activate your 3rd house. So moving from the 2nd house of kind of setting a foundation to the 3rd house, which is seeing growth, that's where we see magic happen for you guys. So towards the middle or the end of the week, we're going to start seeing lucrative connections, conversations that really start to feel like they're going somewhere, a sense that you are making progress, and not only making progress in the physical realm, but feeling as though people get you, people understand you, and there's a new sense of validation. Instead of feeling like you're ahead by a century, there's going to be some sort of sense for you guys that people are starting to catch up, either theoretically or practically. Now, the full moon in Sagittarius on Thursday is in your 9th house of understanding and possibilities. You might have an aha moment towards the end of the week around the full moon, feeling either like you get it or feeling like other people finally get you. And the commonality of understanding helps establish a commonality of goals and dreams. If people don't understand you, it's very hard to feel like there's any room for progress. So that's the big thing shifting for you guys this week: understanding, validation, and room for growth. So the other thing that's happening is that the Sun and Venus, when they move into Gemini in your third house, finally form a really helpful angle to Pluto. Now, Pluto is a very challenging, very heavy planet that has occupied your 11th house of belonging for quite some time. And that's where we saw that you were feeling like you didn't belong, feeling like you weren't understood, feeling like you're a fish out of water. And so for the Sun and Venus, indicating you feeling loved, you feeling safe, you feeling confident, you feeling understood. Now for that to happen, forming a helpful angle to Pluto in your 11th house, instead of feeling alone, you're going to feel supported. And this could be personally, this could be professionally, this could be artistically or creatively, but a huge shift in recognition, understanding, and support. So stay open, keep trying, and definitely, as much as you can, share your vision, speak your truth, keep reaching out, because what we see this week is that eventually something clicks. So don't give up. I believe in you guys. Have an amazing week. And if you're interested, go listen to Ahead by a Century by the Tragically Hip. You might get something out of it. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Taurus Sun and Taurus Rising, welcome to your horoscope. This week I chose to do something new. I have chosen a theme song for each sign, and the theme song that I chose for you guys is Freedom by George Michael. Feel free to give it a listen if you want. You might find some inspiration in it. But I chose that one for you guys because there's some really awesome alignments where finally you feel like you belong. Finally you feel like you're on a meaningful path. And the personal and professional freedom that we experience when we feel aligned with our truth and our vision, it's priceless, right? So this could be personal, this could be professional, it could be romantic, it could be creative. But freedom is the name of the game, and aligning with your authentic self and really honoring the energy that you bring to situations, that's key this week. So in the beginning of the week, the Sun and Venus are still going to be in Taurus, and they form a really helpful angle to Neptune, which is the planet of following your dreams, listening to your intuition, and walking your highest path. And because Neptune is in Pisces, it's in your 11th house of belonging. The 11th house rules how we channel our gifts and our connection with the greater community or the world. And you haven't necessarily felt very connected to your gifts or to the world. There's been a sense that you've been kind of seeking new ground, seeking new territory, and trying to find your fit, right? And so in the very beginning of the week, the Sun and Venus in your sign form this helpful angle where all of a sudden you feel like you're doing something meaningful, or maybe you'll receive some sort of recognition from someone where they're like, hey, I love your art, or hey, I love your energy, or hey, I really appreciate your contributions. And sometimes just one moment of feeling like somebody is grateful for you, it changes everything, right? It can recharge your batteries. So stay open to that, because then what we see is when the Sun and Venus and Jupiter move into Gemini, all of a sudden it activates your second house of manifestations. It's money, it's resources, it's tangible results aligned with your values and your efforts. So again, you know, like I was saying, there's this huge focus for a while now of you kind of trying to figure out who you are or where you belong. And what we see this week is you locking into something that feels aligned with your highest good and aligned with the goals that you have in mind. So when on Thursday, there's a full moon in Sagittarius activating your 8th house of karma, life, death, and rebirth, repeating patterns, and shared resources. So the full moon can bring an energy of closure, and you might experience that sense of closure in the sense that maybe you have closed some sort of karmic loop. Maybe you've completed some sort of massive chapter in your life, or maybe you've finally been able to pay off debt or detangle from someone that you used to share finances and resources with. So definitely closure leading to freedom. That's why I chose the freedom song for you guys. And finally, at the very end of the week, the Sun and Venus, newly in Gemini, form a really helpful angle to Pluto in your 10th house. The Sun and Venus in your 2nd house, being supported by a planet in your 10th house, is a very strong association with money, resources, and long-term goals, long-term plans. So whereas, you know, quite up until recently, you may have felt like you had no idea where things were going. Maybe you were wondering how everything was going to sort out. Maybe you were really like worried about long-term feasibility when it comes to money and resources. And what I can see at the end of the week is a realization that your diligence and your persistence finally pay off. There's some sort of successful outcome. Now, like I was saying, it could be personal, professional, financial, it could be creative, but what we see is an opportunity for you to be released. And what I wanted to say was make sure you don't go backwards to something that's comfortable or familiar, even when it's clearly not in your highest good. There's no going back. It's time for liftoff. And it's really awesome to see that not only are you going to feel like your efforts are profitable, but there's also an energy of like a cosmic awakening happening for you guys this week. So really, really exciting. Definitely, if you feel like it, go check out Freedom by George Michael. Thanks for being here. I wish you guys all the very best, and I will see you next time. Gemini Sun and Gemini Rising, welcome to your horoscope. I've got something new for everybody this week. I've chosen a theme song. Feel free to check it out. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. But the theme song I chose for you guys is Sunday Morning by Chaos, K-O-S, if you haven't heard of it. The reason I chose that for you guys, happy birthday, by the way. It's kind of like an easy, like Sunday morning kind of thing, but I didn't choose that song. I chose the other one because there's a sense of like, high energy, quickening, excited, like that kind of vibe. So what we see coming through for you guys in the beginning of the week, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter are all still going to be in Taurus. And they form a really supportive angle to Neptune, the planet of intuition, ideals, dreams, walking your highest path. And your highest path might have felt really foggy or fuzzy for a while. And what we see this week is a sense that you are getting much, much closer to aligning the ideals that you have in here with the reality that you have in front of you. So finally, everything's kind of coming together, the spiritual and the physical. So that's a really beautiful thing. Definitely wanted to say happy birthday. As the Sun and Venus and Jupiter all move into Gemini this week, you're going to feel in a personal experience of like electricity or high energy or like really good vibes. Take it while you can, right? Soak it up. And what we see coming through with the full moon in Sagittarius towards the end of the week on Thursday is really beautiful connections with people in your life, because the full moon is happening in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships. That's the people that you interact with one-on-one. It could be romantic, could be a bestie or a roommate, it could be a professional connection, but these are not large group things. It's small connections, intimate connections, right? Where you know somebody really well or you work in close connection. So the full moon on Thursday is an opportunity to either travel, have some sort of an adventure, or have some sort of bonding moment with these people in your life. And especially when things have been really stressful or kind of up in the air, it's nice to be able to just and it doesn't even have to be anything fancy. Travel could be throw $20 in your gas tank and just drive until you're halfway empty, you know what I mean, and then come back. It could be a candlelit dinner with food that you made yourself. I mean, nothing. It doesn't have to be fancy, but the important energy is just sit and be here now and savor the delicious connections that you have, not only with your third dimensional reality, but the spiritual food in your life, right? So at the end of the week, the Sun and Venus are going to be in Gemini, and they're going to form a really helpful angle to heavy Pluto in your 9th house. Now, because Pluto's been spending a lot of time in your 9th house, your thoughts have been heavy. It's been hard for you to imagine a reality beyond what you've got in front of you. There's a sense of being restricted or held back or fighting against something greater than yourself, like the government or the powers that be, a sense that you're like the underdog, right? But what we see at the end of the week with this really beautiful connection between the Sun and Venus and Pluto is an opportunity to believe in yourself, you know, like a David versus Goliath kind of moment, believing in the power of the underdog, believing in the power of all that is honorable and right and true. It could be a moment of truths being revealed. It could be a moment of information or discoveries freeing you from an oppressive situation. It could be something even small that empowers you, but the end result is going to be recharging your batteries of hope. And yeah, like I said, believe in yourself. Don't give up. There's some sort of exit door or opportunity or breakthrough waiting for you, especially towards the end of the week. So if you're interested, you could go check out Sunday Morning by Chaos. You might get something out of it. I wish you guys all the very best. Thank you so much for being here. Good luck this week, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Cancer Sun and Cancer Rising, welcome to your horoscope. Got something new for everybody this week. I chose a little bit of a theme song. If you're interested, the theme song that I chose for you guys is Feelin' Good by Nina Simone. And really a sense that you guys have been through the shit lately, and there's some sort of closure that happened recently, and now you're in this place of, oh my freaking God, what's next, right? Waking up after a bad dream, collecting the pieces after something fell apart, whatever your personal experience is. It might be big, it might be little, but new beginnings, new fresh starts, and it feels like having to rethink your plan for the future. Something, whether you received information, whether things didn't turn out the way you expected to, there's some sort of an upset that happened recently, and now you're in a place of new ideas, new path, new plan moving forwards, right? So at the beginning of the week, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter are all still going to be in Taurus, which is in your 11th house. And they form a beautiful, helpful angle to Neptune, which is the planet of dreams, intuition, ideals, walking your highest path, like best possible outcome, right? And this connection between your 11th and 9th houses bridges the top of your horoscope. So that's where we see something fresh opening up in your headspace, a new understanding of what is possible, giving yourself the gift of being hopeful. You know how many times, like those of us who have been through so much trouble and so much difficulty, it feels often irresponsible or foolish to be hopeful. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So if that is the case for you, you are going to have to suspend your disbelief this week and allow yourself to be recharged. Give yourself permission to be hopeful. It's not foolish. It's not stupid. It is something that really does the spirit good. So as much as you can, it is an opportunity to rediscover meaning, rediscover purpose, rediscover a reason to keep going, something like that. Sending you guys so much love if you're struggling out there. And what we see when the Sun and Venus and Jupiter all move into Gemini is that all of a sudden it activates your 12th house. So there's going to be new conversations happening inside of your head, new dreams, new ideas, new plans. Like all of a sudden we have a quickening inside of your headspace instead of like a heavy depression or anxiety or whatever you've been struggling with. So this is beautiful, nice big shift. And then on Thursday, we have a full moon in Sagittarius. Full moons are a time of closure, and for it to happen in your 6th house, there's something about your day-to-day activities, or maybe even a theme of health that is coming to an end. And this opportunity to embrace closure, it is when we embrace closure that we find the new beginning. If we're not ready to accept that something has ended, we don't get to step into that new beginning. You know what I mean? So it's really hard. It's really bittersweet to let go. But then that is what's happening for you. And then by Thursday, there's some sort of deep breath, new plans, new ideas. All right, let's get back to business kind of feeling, right? As much as you can, just take things one step at a time and be gentle with yourself, be patient with yourself. If you are introducing a new higher level of activity after being sick, do not force yourself into top level performance if you're not there. If you are recovering from grief, from upheaval, from shattering change, again, do not try and push yourself to be at top level performance if you're not emotionally or mentally there, right? Work within your capabilities. Definitely don't expect too much of yourself. And if the people around you are expecting too much of yourself, please feel free to push back and be like, we're not there yet. Deal with it. I'm not going to hurt myself or stress myself out to keep up with your quota or your idea of a schedule, right? Whatever resonates with you guys. And then when the Sun and Venus move into Gemini, they form a really, really positive angle to Pluto, which has been bringing a lot of heaviness into your 8th house. There's been a lot of heavy thoughts for you guys around karma, repeating patterns, life, death, and rebirth, like heavy, heavy stuff, right? And so it's really beautiful to see at the very end of the week that finally your 12th house, representing either a spiritual understanding or an ability to feel at peace, there's some sort of energetic closure that's going to come through for you, allowing you that deep breath, allowing you to let go and allowing you to move on. So just remember, be gentle, be patient, be kind to yourself, and this too shall pass. Wishing you guys all the very best. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Leo Sun and Leo Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. I have something different this week. I have chosen a theme song for every sign. If you're interested, you can go check it out. If you don't like it, that's totally fine. The theme song I chose for you guys is actually an instrumental song. Except for a little bit of a sound bite at the end of the song. It is called Carnivores Unite, and it's by Blockhead. I found it on Spotify. One of my favorite songs lately, and it's just got a really like get up and go kind of vibe to it. And that's where you guys are at. It really felt like an instrumental song was appropriate for you guys this week, rather than something with lyrics, because it's very important that you attach meaning to your life, not the people around you. This is a time for you to form your own opinions, your own dreams, your own thoughts, and to do so without worrying what other people are going to think, or without modifying your ideas because of somebody else, right? It's important to be self-directed. So in the beginning of the week, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter are all going to be in Taurus, which is in your 10th house. So there's been a really beautiful energy around abundance, prosperity, a new path moving forwards that feels healthy, sustainable, and potentially even profitable. That's the idea, right? And so they're going to form a really beautiful angle to Neptune, like I said, Monday, and helping you feel like, okay, this is my highest path. Or if you have realizations, whoa, this is not my highest path, it's going to become really clear so that you can make any necessary adjustments. So pay attention to whatever intuitive information comes through in the beginning of the week. It is going to be centered around financial goals or long-term goals when it comes to something that you're manifesting, or abundance or prosperity that you're trying to lock into. So really like long-term goals, that's the idea. And then middle of the week, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter all move into Gemini. So a big shift away from what am I doing with my time and is this going to work out, which has been pretty heavy for you guys, into a beautiful month plus long focus on, am I having fun? You know, it's I would like to say it's relatively easy to just get any job where you clock in and clock out, whatever. But those jobs don't necessarily bring joy. And when we move to an 11th house focus, that is like channeling your gifts. That's like feeling like you're doing something meaningful. So now we have an emotional, mental, and spiritual connection to what it is that we're doing and manifesting. So social opportunities coming through, especially in the middle of the week. And then Thursday, there is a full moon in Sagittarius activating your 5th house, which is all about joy and pleasure and having fun and feeling like a kid again. Getting some sort of boost that makes you feel youthful or excited or just jazzed about life, right? So beautiful, beautiful shift for you guys away from this very serious, heavy energy to, you know what I mean? I want to do the like Carlton dance, however that goes. So joy and play, like shake off the stress. If you have an opportunity, especially towards the second half of the week, to do something fun, you know, drive to the beach or watch a movie with friends or whatever it is, take those stress releasing opportunities for sure. You definitely need them. And then at the end of the week, you know, Pluto is a really heavy planet, and it's been occupying your 7th house of partnerships for quite some time. Again, that seriousness, it hasn't just been long-term for you guys. It's also been seriousness around relationships. And what we see at the end of the week is this beautiful connection, lightening the seriousness, because the Sun and Venus will move into Gemini, and they're going to form a really helpful angle to Pluto. So connecting your 11th house, which is like meaningful work, channeling your gifts, feeling artistic or creative or appreciated or whatever it is, and to really bridge that gap so that all of a sudden you also feel that way with your closest relationships. So you've been going through a bit of a hard time where you've been feeling not appreciated, not understood, not like you're channeling your gifts. Whatever your personal struggle has been, personal or professional, we see a huge lightening of energy for you at the end of the week. So definitely soak up the sun, love yourself unconditionally, and keep going where you're wanted. Life's too short to waste your time with people who don't love you or appreciate you or get you, right? Right. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I'll see you next time. Virgo Sun and Virgo Rising, welcome to your horoscope. I've got something fun this week. I felt inspired to choose a theme song for each sign, and the theme song I chose for you guys is Patience by Guns N' Roses. If you feel like checking it out, awesome. If you're not interested, that's totally okay, just something different. The reason I chose that is because there's a big highlight on relationships for you guys this week, whether you're a Virgo Sun or Virgo Rising. And at the beginning of the week, while there's still a lot of planets in Taurus, there's a bit of a very heavy or serious thinking around what you believe and whether or not you're surrounded by people who make you feel like your headspace is a safe space. And when you're surrounded by like-minded people, you feel understood, you feel safe, your anxiety disappears, your stress disappears. But when you're surrounded by people where you don't feel safe, there's so much anxiety, right? So as much as you can, pick your company wisely, right? So at the beginning of the week, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter, all in Taurus, form a really helpful angle to Neptune, which is the planet of dreams, intuition, walking your highest path, and living your ideals. And like I said, I mean, everybody's got different perspectives. Everybody's got different ideals, and everybody's got different energy. Sometimes when we're surrounded by people who are not compatible with our energy or our ideals, we can spend a lot of time questioning ourselves, feeling uncomfortable, trying to make things work. As much as you can, don't waste your time. It's just not worth it. I mean, sometimes it's important to reach common understanding, but sometimes you're just on different planets and it's not worth stressing yourself out, right? So at the beginning of the week, this connection between all those planets in Taurus with Neptune are going to help you feel safe to choose your company wisely instead of forcing yourself to be in situations where you don't feel comfortable. And when the Sun and Venus and Jupiter all move into Gemini, there's going to be a huge planetary party in your 10th house, which is at the very top of your chart. And it's a sense of like, okay, what's my motivation? What are my goals here, right? And this is an opportunity to kind of shake things up, bring freshness and newness and inspiration to those long-term plans that you've been working on for so long. You might be thinking about networking. You might be thinking about connecting with some sort of a team, whether it is to delegate responsibilities or perhaps, you know, like the teamwork makes the dream work. Sometimes by expanding the connections that you have, personal or professional, it actually advances your path moving forwards. So if you've come to some sort of roadblock or obstacle or place of stagnancy, this is going to be an amazing month while the Sun and Venus are in Gemini. This is going to be an amazing few weeks to a month where you can really, really reach out for inspiration, guidance, help, suggestions, really work your connections to expand your abundance, prosperity, and opportunities for the future. So there is definitely a sense this week that it's time for a little bit of a refresh. But the full moon on Thursday is going to kind of bring you back to center, and you might feel more interested in refreshing your personal self, your soul, your energy level. It could be a bubble bath at home. It could be shutting out the world and not talking to anybody. There's going to be a huge focus over the next few weeks on making connections, talking, phone calls, presentations, emails, like communication, right? So to balance that out, you really need to claim any and all opportunity that you have to spend time by yourself and recharge your batteries, because you need that on a core level. Self-care is so important. But definitely tons of opportunities. Please do reach out. Please do rethink your business plan. Please do rethink your social circle. That is the energy happening right now. And then at the end of the week, with Sun and Venus moving into Gemini, they finally form a really supportive angle to Pluto. And Pluto's a very heavy planet, very serious, brings up a lot of shadow stuff, and it's been locked into your 6th house of health and daily routines for quite some time. You might have been dealing with mental health stuff, you might have been dealing with physical health stuff, but what we see at the end of the week with the Sun and Venus bringing some sunshine to that darkness is actually positive ideas or steps or plans or opportunities on a physical or mental health level as well. So all across the board for you guys, newness, new. Even if it feels like you've already tried to ask for help on something, ask again, ask a different person. And please remember that laughter is the best medicine, always. So whatever you can do to lighten the serious mood, it's going to help you immensely. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Again, if you're interested, the song I chose for you was Patience by Guns N' Roses, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Libra Sun and Libra Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. I've got something new this week. Just felt like doing something different. I chose a theme song for each zodiac sign. So Libra Sun and Libra Rising, the zodiac song. The song that I chose for you guys is called Take a Minute by Kanan. Kanan is spelled K''N''AAN. So Take a Minute, it's a great song. And it's about reaching a place in life. He says, and any man who knows a thing knows he knows not a damn thing at all. And that's the energy for you guys this week, right? There's a sense that you've come full circle with something really big. And whether you are reapproaching something that felt unsuccessful in the past, or attempting to shift your energy on a huge, profound level. Maybe you're dealing with karmic patterns. Maybe you're dealing with debt. Maybe you're dealing with something that has felt unresolvable or unattainable for a really long time. Now you're approaching that topic, that issue, that question with full circle understanding. You may feel like you're the same person, but your perspective is different. Your approach is different. Your energy is different. And the opportunity, the time that you're in, it's different. It's brand new. So when at the beginning of the week, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter will still be in Taurus, in your 8th house of karma, life, death, and rebirth, repeating patterns, and also debt. It's been a huge focus on whether or not your needs are being met physically, financially, emotionally, mentally. And it's been kind of heavy for you guys. And what happens in the beginning of the week is that planetary energy in your 8th house finally reaches a place where it is supported by a helpful angle to Neptune. Neptune is how we walk our highest path, how we channel our dreams, how we believe in ourselves, and how we listen to our intuition. And to have that connection is all of a sudden a realization that you are different. You know, sometimes it's hardest for us to actualize or alchemize change because we feel like we're the same. And so any opportunity we have to see ourselves in a different light, to recognize that things are different, that in itself unlocks a world of possibilities. So as much as you can, look at yourself in a different light, look at your situation in a different light, and you'll see a new opportunity. So what happens midweek is that the Sun and Venus and Jupiter all move into Gemini. So shifting that energy away from your 8th house into your 9th house. And the 9th house is represented by Jupiter in Sagittarius. It's like, woo, let's shoot for the stars. New opportunities, new hope, new possibilities. Maybe you're thinking about traveling. Maybe you're thinking about learning something new, embracing a philosophy or a spiritual path. Basically, it's an opportunity to expand your mind and expand your possibilities. And it's being locked in by a planetary party that's going to be really, really, really strong by the end of the week. So it's awesome. Really, really, really good for you. The one thing I wanted to say is, to thine own self be true. It is not a high priority that you prove who you are or explain who you are to other people. You know who you are. So walk your highest path. And whatever people think is whatever people think. Does that make sense? Be true to yourself. Don't make huge, profound changes or choices just to help somebody else if it doesn't align with who you are or what you want or what you're trying to manifest. If it resonates with you, you'll know what I mean. So there's a full moon on Thursday, and it's in Sagittarius, which for you is your 3rd house. Now, the 3rd house is ruled by Gemini. So there's a sense of huge uptick in communications. It could be social invitations from friends. It could be siblings or family members reaching out. It could be opportunities for short trips, short adventures, or it could be like calls, emails, bookings, whatever comes through. There's a few different ways that it could come through, but definitely social opportunities. And if you are self-employed, definitely business opportunities as well. So, check all your phone calls, check your emails, like really look for these new opportunities because they are fully coming through. And just remember though, patience is key. I was going to tell you baby steps, and then I wrote LOL, because anybody who's ever watched a baby learn how to walk, it's like walking like a drunken sailor, you know, 1 step, 2 step, doof. So yeah, baby steps. Remember that babies trip and fall. Babies walk like a drunken sailor. That is what baby steps looks like and feels like. So be gentle with yourself. Please do not expect perfection. Just take things 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time. And as much as necessary, keep asking yourself, is this choice, is this energy, is this opportunity a reflection of the new that I'm hoping for? Or is this a reflection of the old that I'm leaving behind? Only you know. Be true to yourself. Mwah! I hope you guys have an amazing week. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Scorpio Sun and Scorpio Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. Again, my sincere apologies for last week. I'm being better about checking things off this week. I just got way too distracted. Every zodiac sign this week, I have chosen a theme song. If you feel like checking it out, awesome. If you're not interested, that's totally okay. It was just something new I felt like doing. The theme song that I felt inspired to choose for you guys is called It's My Life by Bon Jovi. Yes, Gwen Stefani did one as well. I'm going for the original. Bon Jovi's pretty awesome. The reason I pulled this through for you guys is because of how much there is a focus on making yourself happy, and how unbelievably important it is to make yourself happy. If we waste our lives trying to make other people happy, we're never going to be successful, and we're going to end up disappointed and drained at the end, right? The older you get, the more you understand that. So what happens in the beginning of the week is that the planetary party we're coming out of, you know, the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter, they're all in Taurus at the beginning of the week. And for you, that's your 7th house. So there's been a huge focus on needs being met in the context of balance and in the context of one-on-one relationships in your life. It could be personal or professional connections, could be coworkers, roommates, lovers, anyone you have an intimate or close connection with one-on-one. And, excuse me, for the past month, it has been a huge focus on whether or not the needs of all parties involved are getting met. You know, and sometimes during these times of deep introspection and assessment and maybe even conversation, sometimes it leads to healthy growth, sometimes it leads to change and adaptation, and sometimes it leads to a breakup because there's that realization of like, this is never going to work, right? So that time of assessment and change and figuring stuff out, it's in the rearview mirror. And on Monday, we see this beautiful, helpful angle formed by those planets at the last degrees of Taurus to Neptune. Neptune is a planet of living our ideals, walking our highest paths, channeling our dreams and intuition, and basically like hoping for the best, right? And so what we see in the beginning of the week is some sort of opportunity within those close connections to feel like you made the right choices. Whether it is connecting with someone and being like, man, I feel so good when I hang out with you, or, you know, something along those lines where like, yes, I made the right choice. Yes, I love these people, or yes, I appreciate these people. So it's nice to see that positive feedback coming through, especially as we start the week off. And then as all the planets, the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter, as they all moved into Gemini, then all of a sudden there's a focus in the 8th house. So the 8th house is your house. It's ruled by Scorpio. It carries themes of life, death, rebirth, repeating patterns, karma, crisis, trauma, but also psychic abilities. And so it's really interesting too, because even though the 8th house and sometimes the 12th house are very always associated with psychic abilities, the one underrated sign connected to psychic abilities is the 3rd house in Gemini. But whereas if I was going to describe the psychic abilities of an 8th house person, that would be like completely psychic or a medium. But 3rd house is more like claircognizant. So what happens when we have a planetary party in Gemini in your 8th house? Even if you don't describe yourself as psychic, you may feel psychic. But it could be along the lines of claircognizance, which is just kind of knowing something. We don't know where it comes from. You know how your phone rings and like nobody told you, but you like know who it is? That's claircognizance, to just know something out of thin air. So for the next few weeks, possibly a month, not only are you going to experience psychic abilities and moments of profound intuition, but also like you guys are classically known as having the most incredibly fine-tuned bullshit detectors on the planet. That is going to be on point this week. So please do not disregard any intuitive messages that you get, not only this week, but like for the next 3-4 weeks, because you guys are going to be like tuned in. You're not only going to have a deeper understanding of yourself, but also the world around you, the connections that you have. You're going to feel on an energetic level when you're in good company. And it's going to help you really lock into any of those choices you've made around the theme of the company that you keep. So the full moon this week on Thursday is activating your 2nd house. Now the 2nd house represents that which we manifest, like money and resources, but it also represents how closely we are aligned with our ideals. And so on Thursday's full moon, basically what we're going to see is a big kind of like light switch moment for you guys, where anything in your third dimensional reality that does not align with your ideals is going to reach either going to come to conclusion, or it's going to be the beginning of the end. So this could be financial, it could be personal, it could be professional, it could be artistic. There's a lot of different ways it could come through. But this is a time for you guys of clearing out the clutter and really, really, really committing to your highest path. And by the end of the week, the planetary party that has just moved into your 8th house, fine-tuning your energetic antenna, is going to form a really helpful angle to Pluto in your 4th house. So again, helping you feel comfortable to trust your intuition, helping you believe in yourself, helping you not even question any of the intuitive information that comes through, and helping you lock into healthy choices moving forwards. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Again, your song was It's My Life by Bon Jovi, and I'll see you guys next time. Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Rising, welcome to your horoscope. I chose a song for every sign, and the song I chose for you guys is Let It Be by the Beatles. You guys are really learning to balance your physical health with your emotional health, coming into a state of equilibrium, both personally and professionally. And it is those choices that you make on a personal level that have a positive effect on your professional level as well. So for example, if we make healthy choices, we get a good sleep, then that means professionally we're going to be much more successful, right? We don't necessarily think about how the little affects the big, but that's kind of the theme for you guys. So anything that you can let go of, if you know, okay, I wanted to ask, if you haven't read this book already, please go look it up. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a, and it's got a bright orange cover. I'm mouthing the word because I just don't want to get censored on YouTube. But The Subtle Art of Not Giving a is like the best book ever. If you haven't read it already, please go read it. That's why I chose Let It Be for you guys. Sometimes a lot of our stress comes from caring too much. We have to choose when and where to give a, right? So in the beginning of the week, there's going to be a big highlight on the connection between your physical health and your emotional health. If you're making really good choices already, it's going to be a sense of, yes, I'm really happy I made these choices. If you have been procrastinating making healthy choices, it is going to be an opportunity for you to go, wow, this is really important and I really need to do this like right now. So physical health and emotional health and the health of the gut, like your intestines, directly affects your mental health. If your mental health is garbage, please think about what it is that you eat and put into your body. They are directly connected, and it's been proven by many scientific studies. And what we're seeing as all the planets move out of Taurus into Gemini is that all of a sudden your social life is going to really pick up a notch. It's going to be a planetary party in your 7th house. The 7th house is one-on-one connections, represented by the scale of Libra. And it's like your lover or your roommate or your bestie or maybe a coworker or business partner, something along that line. And because it's happening in Gemini, it is encouragement. It's a little push for you to make those phone calls, make those connections, seek out a network that is going to help you climb whatever ladder you're trying to climb. Don't be afraid to use your connections to advance personally or professionally. Obviously do it with honor and dignity and respect, but never hurts to ask for a favor. And as they say, it's not about what you know, it is about who you know. So please do remember that. If you are not experiencing the recognition or the success or the progress that you feel like you deserve, you definitely deserve it. You need to try new avenues, new opportunities, toot your horn. Don't be afraid to call attention to yourself. I know it might sometimes feel uncomfortable, but what's really cool is on Thursday, there's a full moon in your sign. It's a personal rebirth. It's a realization that something is ending and a new thing is beginning. It's the halfway point to your birthday, and it's an opportunity to kind of reassess your perspective, your goals, your dreams, and refuel for the journey moving forward. So again, if you haven't made healthy choices, now is the time, and your body is going to let you know. If your body is sending you any signals of burnout, discontent, please pay attention. We need this magical chariot to get us through this life, right? So take care of your body, and also do it from a place of I'm worth it. I'm worth it. I'm taking care of my body because I love myself, right? That's the vibe you should approach it with. And so just after the full moon, towards the end of the week, there's going to be a really positive planetary alignment, bringing a connection, like a bridging point between your desire for like-minded people in your life and the social opportunities or connections that are going to make it happen. You might meet a new friend. You might connect with somebody who ends up being a lover or a partner. It might be a great opportunity for you to make some business connections. So definitely the theme of this week is get yourself out there, healthy and happy, and keep plugging forwards, because all that you seek is coming through. It's just that you're kind of at this like halfway point. So I hope that makes sense. Have a wonderful week, you guys. Again, your song is Let It Be, and I'll see you next time. Capricorn Sun and Capricorn Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. The song that I chose for you guys, something new I'm doing this week, a little inspiration. The song I chose for you guys is called Seize the Day by Wax Taylor. And I found it on Spotify, in case you're wondering. The reason I chose that is because you guys are such incredible workhorses. You will just put your head down, and then weeks or months will pass and you haven't even taken a break or a breath. So Seize the Day is an important reminder to balance work with play. The playful conversations and adventures that are opening up this week are going to be absolutely amazing. There is a helpful planetary connection between the planets in the last degrees of Taurus at the beginning of the week in your 5th house, highlighting how important it is to play and let loose and be silly every now and then. And it's going to make a beautiful connection to Neptune in your 3rd house, which is the planet of walking your highest path or living your ideals. And what's cool about that is it represents playful opportunities coming through conversation, social connection, invitations, things like that. Maybe you don't usually answer your phone. This might be a good week to answer your phone. And what's happening when all the planets start moving into Gemini is that there's actually an energetic shift away from playful opportunities into a focus on work. So as much as you can, please do take these opportunities for play, because for the next month, there's going to be a huge focus on work. That could mean, if you're self-employed or a gig worker or something like that, it could mean that you're just going to get a whole lot of work and you're not even going to have time to take a breath. Or it could be a sense that at your job, there's just so much to do that you feel overwhelmed. You know, oftentimes when we're working, we'll be thinking about, oh my God, it's such a nice day out. When I finish work, I'm going to do this. But then if work completely exhausts us, we just go home and we just go to sleep. So again, the focus is seize the day. Take any and all opportunities to be able to balance that schedule that you have, because like I said, there's a lot of work coming through and you're moving out of the playful month that you just had. Now there's a full moon on Thursday activating your 12th house, and that is the house of dreams and intuition. It's also a house of self-awareness. So you might realize the ways in which you have been avoiding a truth inside of yourself. It could be realizing that you're running from yourself. It could be having really strong, like, technicolor dreams. But definitely, as much as you can, especially around Thursday, hold space for your psychic abilities and your intuition. Write down any interesting dreams that you have. And if big feelings come up, don't run from them, because there's really important clues or information held within that you need to know right now. And then at the end of the week, there is going to be a planetary party in Gemini with the Sun and Venus and Jupiter, all supporting Pluto in your second house. Now, Pluto in your second house has brought a lot of heavy seriousness to finances and resources. Maybe worrying about paying bills, maybe worrying about having enough to get by. And it's been heavy, it's been stressful. So when we have this planetary party in your sixth house supporting that stressful situation, that means at the end of the week, you're going to either have heaps of work through your job, maybe more hours offered to you, maybe a raise or higher compensation. Or if you are self-employed in any way, it's going to be like tons of phone calls, tons of bookings, tons of opportunities. So as much as you can in the beginning of the week, refuel, get lots of rest. Because by Saturday, or by like Friday, Saturday, it's going to be like go time, and you need the money. You're going to go for it. So make sure that you're properly fueled up for the journey ahead. Again, your song this week was Seize the Day by Wax Taylor. And I found it on Spotify if you're interested. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys next time. Mwah. Aquarius Sun and Aquarius Rising, welcome to your horoscope. I've got something new this week, a little inspiration, something different. I went ahead and chose a theme song for each sign. And the theme song that I chose for you guys is Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. Now, let me tell you, I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift song, but oh my God, there's a couple of songs of hers that have just been so amazing at certain times in my life. And this is one where I know it got hugely popular, but honestly, like, it's not just a pop song, it is an anthem for authenticity. Because so many times we find ourselves stuck in certain situations with, you know, incompatible partners or jobs in which we're miserable and stuff like that. And often the reason that we're stuck is because we are trying to make somebody else happy. And when we focus on making ourselves happy, not necessarily in a selfish way, but in a way of like, okay, I want to be healthy. I want to feel like I'm genuinely loved and appreciated. I want to feel like I'm understood, right? And what we have to do that goes hand in hand with being authentic is that we also have to learn to let go of people who don't get us. We have to learn to let go of other people's opinions. We have to let go of making other people happy and making ourselves miserable in the meantime. I actually recommended a book for Sagittarius, and I'm going to recommend it for you guys as well. If you haven't heard of it already, it is a must read. It has a bright orange color, and the title is The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. And I'm mouthing the word just because I don't want to get censored by YouTube. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. And it is such an amazing book. Definitely a sense that you guys have everything about Aquarius is like the cool person, right? You know, casually cool, not emotionally invested, calm, collected, classy, ahead of the time. Often you guys are fashionistas or inventors or social media moguls, or you're really like far ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to matters of philosophy, spirituality, or technology. And it is hard because you guys often feel out of place anyway. Maybe you don't necessarily, like, if we've never truly felt understood and accepted, we've never tasted that feeling of what it feels like to be genuinely loved and genuinely appreciated, right? And so if the situations in your life are meh, we don't always have a reason to make change because we're like, well, it's not that bad, right? But if it's not a yeah, it's a no. So The reason I chose that song and the message that's coming through for you guys is that it's a huge balancing act of learning to balance your ideals with your reality. Obviously, reality is not always going to match up with our ideals, but we can definitely do our best. And that is kind of what I'm tuning into for your sign, whether you're an Aquarius sun or an Aquarius rising. It is that moment of trying to decide, do I really feel comfortable and safe? And is this a meh kind of situation? Because so often we feel like we're asking too much. Sometimes we have partners or bosses that are like, you're asking too much. No, you're not, darling. Dream big, aim high, go for that gold. You're not asking too much, I promise you. What's happening is that at the very beginning of the week, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter will still be in Taurus. And for you, that's your 4th house. The 4th house is like a garden bed. It asks, what sort of foundation from which will the rest of your life grow? And if the garden soil is not nourishing, the rest of your life is not going to thrive. So if you look at your life and you're like, meh, then it's time to maybe add some fertilizer to that garden bed. Well, you know what's really funny about fertilizer? Fertilizer is poop. And it's the more shit we deal with that we get clearer and clearer and clearer about what we want and what we will no longer tolerate. So again, don't be afraid to make some of these serious decisions, because that's where you're at. Self-investment is paying off. And when the planetary party moves into Gemini midweek, it is activating your 5th house, which is fun and joy and play and adventure and creativity and pleasure. So if your life is not pleasurable, you will find that for the next month, you will be seeking pleasure. You will be seeking opportunities to play and be silly. You know, a lot of the current culture now is the expectation that we just be cool about stuff. But just being cool about stuff comes often at the cost of us truly enjoying ourselves. And it comes at the cost, especially with social and dating connections, it comes at the cost of true connection, right? So halfway, meh is no longer going to do it for you. And when we have the full moon in Sagittarius on Thursday, activating your 11th house, that's when the Shake It Off song gets activated. Shake it off, right? Many more fish in the sea. There's also garbage in the sea, so let's avoid the garbage, right? So as you learn to shake it off, there's a sense of closure when it comes to anything that is not aligned with your ideals, anything that is not aligned with your dreams, your visions, your adventures. You're just going to get tired of the old and just be like, F it. I'm ready for the new. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I'm so done with the old that I just don't care anymore. And what happens at the end of the week, when finally the Sun and Venus and Jupiter are all in Gemini, you're an air sign, Gemini is an air sign. It's going to be a huge boost for you guys in particular, as well as Libras. And this planetary party in the 5th house is going to form a really helpful angle to Pluto. And Pluto is in your 1st house of identity and self. Pluto is a very heavy, often dark energy that activates our shadow and asks us whether or not we feel in control or empowered. If in any way you don't feel in control or empowered, by Friday, Saturday, you're going to be ready to let go. So don't be afraid to walk away from anyone and anything that makes you feel like you're not good enough, because like I said, there's many fish in the sea, but there's also lots of garbage in the sea. So pick and choose, go for pleasure, go for fun, and a new dawn awaits you. So thank you for being here. I hope you have a magical week, and I'll see you next time. Pisces sun and Pisces rising, welcome to your horoscope. I did something a little bit different this week. I felt inspired to choose a theme song for every sign. And the theme song I chose for you guys is called I Am Light by India Ari. And I Am Light is a song where the lyrics talk about, I'm not my family, I'm not my mistakes, I'm not my physical appearance, I am light. And that message in particular might feel especially meaningful to you guys. Feel free to look it up. If you're not interested, that's totally fine. But what we see at the beginning of the week with the planets spending the last little bit in Taurus, Taurus is your third house. That is a focus on the closest connections that you have. Maybe it's with siblings, maybe it's with neighbors, maybe it's your inner circle, but it's that like tight little personal community that you have. Not the greater community, but like your little tribe or your circle, right? And what happens with that little planetary party in Taurus at the beginning of the week is that it forms a really helpful angle to your ruling planet Neptune in your sign of Pisces. So what we see in the beginning of the week is confirmation that when we choose our connections carefully, we feel as though we are more than our choices, more than our appearance, more than our job, more than our family history. We are infinite. We are full of possibilities, and we are eternally evolving. And what we see at the beginning of the week is a reminder how important it is to feel understood, to feel seen, and how important it is to really nurture and cultivate those connections that, you know, it's the people that are with us through multiple stages of our lives that are the really, really awesome friends. The friends that have seen us through the worst and the best. The friends that have seen us evolve and struggle and fall and get back up again. Those are the friends that you're going to feel most connected to. And then when all those planets, starting with the Sun and Venus and Jupiter, when they move into Gemini towards the middle of the week, it's activating your fourth house. So moving from the third house to the fourth house is less seeking new connections or less working to communicate and more rooting down and feeling emotionally safe. You may go through another little phase where you feel less social than usual for the next month because the fourth house in your chart is at the very bottom. That is, I am staying home, I'm sleeping in, I'm making a blanket fort, right? Stability is something that is often elusive, and it is something that we continually have to adjust our approach as we seek stability. And what you're going to find, especially over the next month, is that the way that you find stability is through exploring duality. Gemini season is all about duality. It's represented by the twins, and it's about all of the different aspects, all the different characters within us. I have been many people. You have been many people. You are not, and I am not, just one of those people. I am all of those people combined, and I am going to be many, many people as I grow older, right? And so it is that space for continual evolution that will feel most nourishing for you. So seeking nourishing connections, really kind of paring down to the most important nourishing people in your life. And then on Thursday, there's a full moon in Sagittarius. And for you guys, whether you're a Pisces sun or rising, what we've got is a 10th house activation. That is the top of your chart. It is with our emotional needs being met. It is from a place of being nourished and feeling safe that we are most able to grow and thrive in life. And even if you didn't know what you were doing over the last few months, you were kind of really reestablishing a nourishing foundation from which to grow. And so on Thursday, what we see is the light at the end of the tunnel. It is that moment of being like, oh my God, now I realize what it is that's coming through, or now I see the light at the end of the tunnel, or now I get it, right? It's going to be one of those moments where everything kind of clicks into place and you feel a lot better about all the work that you did to get where you are, and that in itself helps you feel a lot better about where you're going. Funny how these things work. So at the end of the week, what we have, you see, Pluto is a really heavy, we like to refer to it as like a dark planet, but only because it is so important to do shadow work. Pluto is shadow work, whereas the sun is like the light, right? And Pluto has been activating your 12th house for quite some time, really bringing a focus to any shadows that are hidden in the corners of your mind. It's not been an easy process. That's been part of why you've been self-isolating for so long. And what we see at the end of the week is that the planetary party moving into Gemini, Sun, Venus, Jupiter, forms a really helpful angle, a supportive angle to Pluto. So, you know, when Pluto is by itself, it feels very heavy and unsupported. And sometimes we feel like we are just swimming in the depths of our psyche, right? But this activation that's happening at the end of the week is a reminder to love all parts of yourself. Love every person that you've ever been. Even if they were flawed, even if they were continually screwing up or doing stupid things, love that part of you too. You know, when we adopt a puppy and the puppy does stupid stuff like chewing up our shoes or peeing on the floor, we're not going to hate it into being a better dog. No, we love it. Good thing they're freaking cute because they cause a lot of damage, right? That is what I'm trying to help you see yourself as. The younger, foolish, uninformed version of you, they were like a puppy. Love that part of you too, right? I was just about to say, even if you chewed up a pair of shoes, just trying to make you laugh, right? Yeah, because the planetary party in your 4th house is going to be reminding you how important it is to keep that circle tight, how important it is to make sure that you are meeting your own emotional needs. Because when you love yourself unconditionally, shadow work becomes so much easier and we can make heaps of progress moving forwards. So again, the song that I chose for you guys is I Am Light by India Ari. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.